Yes, it's that time of year again. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. So there's a show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards. You've been hearing it for years now. It's the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in 3 categories: education, storyteller drama, and art. So this show is based on the world-famous Writers of the Future contest, created in 1983 by L. Ron Hubbard, and provides advice and tips from contest judges, international best-selling authors, world-class artists, contest winners, and industry professionals for writers and illustrators wanting to take their next step. So go to podcastawards.com and nominate the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast in all 3 categories. That was education, storyteller drama, and art. And that's podcastawards.com. So take a moment and get your votes in. It's time for you to get out and nominate your favorite podcast. The show I want you to consider for the People's Choice Podcast Awards is The Outer Realm, and that's in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. The Outer Realm is a popular show hosted by Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, which has millions of listeners each week. They are well known for their laid-back, round-table style of interviewing. Together, this dynamic duo brings you the best of the best with guests from around the world who are well-versed within their respective fields of ufology, paranormal, cryptozoology, folklore, and anything else that would be deemed outside the realm of normal. Michelle is an international public figure who has spent the last 2 decades working in the international paranormal community, in research and media. Amelia is a remote viewing medium with 10 years of working with missing children, as well as cold and active murder cases. So go to podcastawards.com to nominate The Outer Realm in the category of Best Female Hosted Podcast. That's podcastawards.com. It's super easy. So just please take a moment and get out and go vote.
Welcome to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live here on United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. The Outer Realm is fully sponsored by the amazing people over at Folgers Coffee, who have been with us since day one, and Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, the sonic surgeon, who is responsible for our phenomenal intro and outro. His music can be found anywhere that good music can be found because he is an award-winning composer and he's got some great stuff. So make a point of checking him out. You'll notice that we've been opening up with, of course, the podcast awards. So we're going to start getting a little hotter and heavier on that, guys. And you're going to hear the generic one. You're going to hear one for us. I noticed was a bit of an error, so they had the wrong link for us, but we'll have that all rectified by tomorrow. So make a point of going out. If you're looking at the podcast words, you're going to find us under female best podcast with a female host. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, go and check that out. Tonight, we are really thrilled to welcome back the return of both Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran, 2 really good friends. And they're going to be discussing Preston's new book, Symmetry, which is essentially the story of Dolly's lifetime experiences. And I have to say, she was a fully conscious and fully aware experiencer. So I just want to make sure here that we get those links off. Here we go.
Yeah, she's in chat.
It's coming at you, girl. It's coming at you. Yeah. Yes, there we go. Thank you, Wayne. We'll take that. Hello, Jeannie. Hello, Tamara. Got Wayne. Hi, Michael. Here we go. So everything has been fired off. And holy crud, let me tell you what. This is a crazy stuff right here. Trying to get myself together. All right. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
I kind of have you, Dolly. I don't have your face. Where's that beautiful face? Where are you? Ooh. Whoop. Okay. Preston, hello. Oh, bless you.
Bless you.
Just like wrong time. He's like,
Bless
great.
you.
Guys got
Excuse
the
me.
best timing. So we are just waiting on Dolly.
Yes.
Oh, hey, Adrian.
We
Yeah,
have
keep trying.
feedback on someone.
Dolly, you have some feedback.
Yeah.
Oh, where are you? What? Just try.
Dolly has camera problems again. I'm looking. Hold on, give me a second. My camera is not happy.
You have to give.
I had it working an hour ago, and now
you have to give StreamYard permission to use your camera and your mic, and it has hiccups with everything else other than Chrome.
blinded.
Apparently,
There's a lot of feedback
I
on
did.
her line.
I did.
Okay. Oh.
It might be better that she drops and comes back. There's a lot of feedback on her line.
Yes.
And I know Joe hasn't left the mic open because we don't have any feedback right now.
No.
Hi, Preston. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Comes in with the grand entrance. That's okay. You're amongst friends.
That's my life right now is
that's all right.
sneezes. I've got allergies, so that's all I do.
That's it.
I have to have a good sneeze every day. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's helpful. So, how are things out your neck of the woods? Is it hot out there?
It is. Yeah, it started to cool down a little bit, and now we're getting hot again. And yeah, summer is starting with a vengeance.
Oh yes.
It's
Not
going to
very
be
kind.
no. It's going to be 100 degrees for at least a month or two.
Oh my God. I like it. You guys don't have a lot of, well, you might. I don't recall. I've been to California. I don't recall it being super humid though.
No, it's not super humid, but I'm fine until it gets to 100 degrees.
Right. Yeah.
That's a nasty dry heat. That's a nasty dry heat down there though. Yeah.
I can handle dry heat though. I like it. Okay, here we go.
It's different when you're living it every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Italy's like that. It's really hot.
I mean, it got to 123.
That's insane.
Yeah. I've been to Vegas in the heat. It's not fun.
No, and I only have a little window air conditioner.
Right.
So.
Oh, wow.
Oh, not good.
It's a good thing you're not a menopausal woman. You'd be
Yeah.
dying right now with that air conditioner.
Press is like
10 fans everywhere. Yeah.
So.
Okay, I have a question. You have to send me an invite in my email, because it's not going to let me on. They're blocking me. They have cut me off. All you're going to get from me now is my voice. And I'm going to have to go on my phone, but the only way I can get to you that way is if you email.
All right. It's coming at you like right now.
Mine can only go through email as well. It's touchy for everybody. It depends.
Oh, StreamYard's been very picky as of late. Just leave that right there. People are just having a lot of problems with it. So hear that, StreamYard, get your crap together.
I've been watching a couple of the I love LawTube on YouTube. So I watch the different lawyers talk about the different cases, and they've all complained about StreamYard this past week.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I just sent Dolly the link through email.
I did as well. Yeah. So that worked for you. I'll guarantee it'll work for her if you're on. So this is good. So then we'll get the show on the road. I think what we should do while we're waiting is one of our favorite things to do. Oh, we're going to play a Folgers commercial.
Yay.
Yeah. Here's one, Dolly.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. Good morning.
There we go. Dolly sent us a couple of Folgers. So there's one. We'll play another one later on as we wait for her to come in. And hopefully she will get on without an issue. Get back up here. And oh my,
Lynn, if you need assistance, you have to email at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com.
yeah, that
The
one.
outer realm contact@gmail.com.
Yeah, that one will work. All right. Yeah, just email us at the show. Email Lynn, and I will get back to you. There we go. Hello.
Yay. Hi, Dolly. Hey, Dolly.
Having a fight with StreamYard, are you?
No, I'm having a fight with the government. My phone is just has a scrambler on it, and they can't get to me that way. So I'm talking to you on a scrambled phone line.
Interesting.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Well, welcome. I'm glad you finally got here.
Thank you. Me too.
And we just paid your commercial, one of them.
Oh, really?
I love your commercial.
Yeah, yeah, we'll play another one later so you get to check it out. Okay. So, well, welcome back, both of you. I mean, you're both dear friends. You've both been on before. I think Preston's got some frequent flyers here. So I feel extra bonus points. So the last time Preston was on, he touched a little bit, didn't want to delve too much because he knew that you guys were coming on together. And I guess this is your story, but we're talking about Symmetry. And it's a fascinating book, and it seems to be doing really well. I'm watching Preston's post and it goes, here it goes. It's just like, so like, wow. So I'm going to let you guys just take this because you've done so many interviews together about the book. Whoever wants to start, I say just do it.
Okay. I want to start off by doing one thing for like 2 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Because it's heavy on me right now and I want to get it out there. Okay.
Okay.
The Georgia Guidestones have been demolished. They took them down.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm
saw
upset
that on social media.
I'm upset for a couple of reasons, and I want this out. I want everybody within the sound of my voice to understand something. They have a video of the actual blowing up of the Guidestones. There have always been cameras out there. They have been monitored for some time. If they've got pictures of who blew it up, they have who did it. They know. They watched it happen. Because there are alarms all over that thing, and if they get any movement at night, authorities are called. I am not happy about this situation. I'm not happy because they knew which part of it to blow to make it unstable, and now they've taken it to the ground. This is something that was put there in innocence and has been innocently sitting there all this time. It has nothing on it but words of wisdom and goodness in intent. It has no political aim or game whatsoever written upon it, and it's written in 8 languages. It's for all the peoples of this earth, and we have just watched its destruction in one day. I am mad about it, upset.
Right. Right.
No political affiliation wrote those words. The people who did put it up were men of wisdom and good intent, with love in their hearts for mankind. And I just want it to be known that if they don't come forward and say who did it and why, they are as big of liars as they ever have been. And I mean it. I'm going to call foul. Well, it's time to call it. It's time. This is foul. What happened is absolutely foul.
Because you're from Georgia, so this hits home for people within the Georgia state, doesn't it? Like this was like a really important monument, especially to you guys.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you guys don't know about it, I would encourage you to go and look what the actual messages are. They're very touching, very positive, very beautiful. Such a shame because these are things that we should all know and live by.
And you think it's just because it's been misconstrued, taken the wrong way?
I think that evil intent has divided the hearts and minds of many people, and that evil will do anything in its power to take down good in any way it can. And it has just crossed the line. It has just declared that its intent is real and they mean to keep going. That's what I think.
I spoke briefly on this last night on an interview that I did just with respects to not the stones, but just to how humanity has a habit, with history repeating itself of just removing historical monuments or statues, or getting rid of books or things of that nature. And it's been going on through like hundreds of years. You just look at the Library of Alexandria, the Mayan library, just powers that be, just keeping it for the very few. But I think as these things get removed, it's almost with the intent of trying to erase history or situation, like it just didn't happen. Our generation, of course, who sees all these things will always remember, but it's the future generations that come after us that will never know that these things even existed. And that's sort of sad too.
It's an attack on truth.
Right.
Period. The truth, history is truth written and inscribed. And it's an attack on truth. Pure and simple.
Right.
And it makes me sad.
Well, it won't work. Truth wins, light wins, and the message on those guide stones are now going to be spread far and wide.
Yes.
So,
everybody go to Wikipedia and download it onto your computer. Download the words, keep it, write it down, put it in a book somewhere in your house. Keep truth alive. Do that.
Yeah, Joe and I did a show in the Gray Zone. A big chunk of it was on the Georgia Guidestones. All the messages were read out, everything. So I think, I agree with Preston. The light wins, good always prevails. And I think with this happening, if anything, the culprits have succeeded in bringing it more to light, because now people are like, are these
that's
things?
true, isn't it?
What is this about?
We made a martyr out of the
hubbub?
Guidestones. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think they're going to be getting a little bit more attention right now than, let's say, they have in quite some time. But also, let's talk making some new history. Yeah. I want to know about Symmetry, and I think we all are curious as to Dolly's story. You've been on the show before. You've touched on a few things, and always careful, knowing that one day the full story would be coming out in a book. And here it is. So
it is. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we can start where we left off.
Anywhere you want. This, as I always say, when we have guests, you guys run the show. We'll follow along.
Preston has the mind like a steel trap. You remember where we left off. Why don't you pick something to go with first? How's that?
All right. Well, we did not really cover much at all.
Right.
So I will say that Dolly reached out to me in 2016. I did not know her before then, and had basically built up my own, construct of what I think is going on with the contact experience. Starting out very fear-based, I kind of bought into the ET threat narrative and realized very quickly that it wasn't true. That ETs are not here to hurt us. They're here to guide, help, heal. And wrote my first book, UFO Healings. So I just went on from there. This is Dolly's book. Symmetry is the 29th book. And she reached out to me, and I started to realize, wow, this is different from a lot of the people I've talked to. Dolly has no need to go under regressive hypnosis to recall her experiences. She remembers them fully, consciously, and not through the lens of fear. And that is almost unheard of. Not completely. I've talked to a few what I would call fully conscious contactees, but even they have missing time. And as she really began to, open up, I'm like, wow, this is the most extensive story, series of events that I have ever had the privilege and honor to research.
Right.
So that's how it started to unfold. Mm-hmm. And what I think is real interesting is Dolly was looking, she decided she was going to go public. And this is just so cool to me because she was looking for a researcher who would tell her story honestly. Right. And, she's telling her ET friends, like, I want to go public. And they're like, you sure? And she's like, yes. The contact experience is being badly misrepresented in this field, which I agree with.
Yes.
And they said, you'll find someone. And she couldn't. She couldn't find anyone. And, we've talked about this because she's like, who are your favorite researchers out there? And I'm like, let me think. And there's not a lot of them. There's a few I like. Mm-hmm. There's quite a few on my naughty list.
I like that.
Because they're
It's like naughty
liars.
Santa list.
I know when people are spreading disinformation or pushing an agenda
Right.
of their own. And so she went back and she says, I can't find anyone. There's no one. And they said, well, here's a guy. His name is Preston. And here's his, his last name is Dennett. and spelled it.
It's so cool that they're the ones that gave out your name.
Yeah. So actually that was really touching and kind of really cool to know that, I'm actually known off-world.
It is.
And that was like the third time that happened. The prior times, I wasn't quite sure I believed it.
Right.
But when Dolly said it, I'm like, well, here we go. That's 3 times the charm. And
It's
later,
true.
later, a guy from England said the same thing. He's like, I had an experience. The Greys contacted me. They said all this stuff is going down on our planet. Is it true? And I'm like, yeah. They do give messages about upcoming issues. She's like, well, yeah, they told me to call you. I don't know you. I'm like, So yeah, the Greys know me. They want this story out. And this is how Symmetry came to be written in a nutshell.
I think it's great. It must have been, aside from being an honor, because I mean, coming to have known Dolly and forging a friendship and knowing what she's like, the fact that you are the chosen one, I guess, to tell this story, it speaks volumes. And it must have been, what was it like listening, to Dolly speaking? Like, how many jaw-dropping moments? How many times you pick and you drop the floor going, okay, wait a minute, I think I'm okay. Like,
are you kidding? I laughed, I cried, I gasped.
Go dead silent. Sometimes there would be nothing on the other end of the phone, just dead quiet. Like, are you there?
Like, hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Are
you off the floor yet?
Yeah. What did I do? Yeah.
It wasn't always easy, but it was absolutely rewarding and so much fun because I had questions, about the AI Greys and, emotions and, missing time and, people being, quote, taken against their will and all this stuff. I had a lot of questions about the craft. Are they alive? So many people have told me this. And Dolly was able to basically provide a continuous narrative, fill in all the blanks, connect the dots, answer a lot of questions. I will say pretty much, not everything, but a good portion of what she told me I've heard piecemeal. I did have a gentleman by the name of Jay Gardner describe how the ETs took him to Saturn, showed him the planet, took him on a little ride. And when Dolly said that, I'm like, wow, she had the same experience.
It's real. Yeah.
So bit by bit, the story unfolded. And I have to tell you, every time we do an interview, Dolly, I learn something new. I really do. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we could have put this in the book. How come we didn't tell me?
Where'd that come from? Why didn't you say it before? I have to ask one question though before we get started. You and I have spoken about this before, Dolly, but people, do say they have a lot of bad experiences. Do you think it's because they're not just rolling with it, that they're resisting?
It's point of reference, literally. When you grow up in a world where you're taught to fear everything, including going to the doctor, or fear bad grades, or fear admonishment, or fear the government coming down on you, or going to jail, or whatever it is, we live in constant fear of everything. And
stranger danger.
and we're taught to be paranoid somewhat, and that feeds fear. Okay,
right.
So you get people who are coming on board, and they're trying to explain to them what's going on. We all have an internal dialogue in our minds, and we override what people are saying to us sometimes in fear. Okay. You can be being told something and your brain's going 900 miles an hour thinking 10 things. First one is, how do I get out of this? Second one is, how do I hurt this? Third one is, what does this want from me? And oh my God, am I going to die? Okay. And
in your boudoir, when you're the most vulnerable,
right.
They are right there in your room where you're supposed to be feeling safe.
Right. Exactly. I know it's a problem. I know, but they've already kind of communicated with you before they even show up. They're capable of tapping into your mind and sending you messages psychically. This is one of the reasons they want us so bad to wake up and be able to communicate psychically, because you'd hear them all the time. Then you'd be in a full-on dialogue with them all the time. You would be reassured of their intent, their true intent.
Right. And when they show up, the first thing they say, everybody knows, it's don't be afraid. We won't hurt you. No harm will come to you. Have no fear.
Right.
No, they're not here to hurt people. Yeah. The problem is, like Dolly says, when you have this experience and it's scary, you automatically assume this is bad. And when you look through something through the lens of fear, it's very hard to have accurate perception. And I understand. I totally get it. It's scary. Yeah. But the majority of contactees I talk to at some point realize, like, oh my gosh, they're not trying to hurt me. I was actually healed. They they took me on a ride. They showed me the engine room. They took me up to the observation deck. They took me to the control room. They woke me up psychically. These are not bad things. They're giving me warnings about our planet. Look at what actually happens. I've had people tell me the same exact story. And one says, I loved it. And the other's like, I hated it. It was the same exact
bad touch. Yeah.
It happens.
It's actually it's the love of hospitality. I will tell you this about them. They love to be they love guests. They love friends. They love all of that. And when you invite people into your home and they come, you want the best for them while they're there, right? They'll show you, you'll show them anything. You'll give them your rug if they want it. I mean, some people are that way. When you come on board, their intent is to, look, we love, look what we got. This is so cool. And they'll show you stuff. They'll let you touch it. They'll let you do all kinds of stuff in there simply because they want you to feel welcomed by them and that they care. And some people will sit there, and I'm not kidding you, I've seen it happen. Like that one guy who just wanted nothing to do with them the whole way, who pinched my arm off trying to get off that craft. He wanted nothing to do with it. And it's like, and then it just goes back to our autonomy, our decision. We have all of us decisions, and all they can do is plant seeds, and that's how they look at it.
Yeah, this is the whole missing time problem. When someone has that abject fear or terror and are lashing out, that's when they're rendered unable to move, unable to hurt people or themselves, and will choose to have their memories suppressed. Like, I don't want to remember this. And the last thing ETs want to do is terrorize someone. So they will allow you to not remember until you are emotionally able to.
Amelia, you had a question.
Thank you. Well, actually, just a comment I was going to say. I think with a lot of people, it's not just a fear of the experience. In fact, it might not be a fear at all, but actually a fear of how they're perceived by their peers and their family. And that, I think it's a lot to do with that as well.
I agree. 100% I agree. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks to our government, who's made UFO witnesses look like idiots.
Well, but family members do that to people too, though. You're nuts. Like, what are you thinking? This is crazy. You can't talk about that. It's the same with paranormal. You don't talk about it.
This is the government's fault. They have put forth a lot of money, time, and energy to make UFOs seem wacky. They're not. It's absolutely logical. Look at the stars. There's no way we're alone. We've never been alone. The history of it is in your face. Every culture has this, and our governments have worked very hard to make anyone who sees a UFO, you're either hoaxing, hallucinating, or misperceiving.
As well as religion. Yet if you go back into the Bible, there's all kinds of stories of contact. Enoch, Ezekiel, there's just two right there.
I'm so glad we're not alone. Can you imagine? That would be scary.
Right.
I know. A million more questions if we were.
Exactly.
And I think it's egotistical to think that, to be honest. I think deep down in everybody's heart and soul, they do believe it. And I think we're in a different place than we were when we were growing up. With the internet, it's helping. And yes, as you said, Preston, it's true. They make you think that everything is a hoax. Even if it's on YouTube, we all question, that's Photoshop. That's just way too clear. That's the first thing that even comes to my mind when I see something. I don't think, believe it. I think, holy crap, that is just too clean to be
but
real.
what's happening
right?
is they're stopping a process that should continue through that reckoning. In other words, when you doubt something, when you question it, your next step should be finding out if it's true or not. You should be able
Absolutely.
to take the
Agreed.
time to look it
Agreed.
up, and the information should be there for you to find the truth.
Yeah.
And
Or
this
even
is what's
just,
being destroyed, you know?
sorry, Dolly, even if you just take a video and put it up on your big screen TV and really zoom in, you can see if something's been tampered with or not. It's really not that clean when it's photoshopped. There's always, if it's photoshopped, you're going to see a blur, you're going to see heavier pixelation in, around the edging of everything that's there. And
Right.
if you can't find that, you need to question that.
Right.
That's the first thing I did when I started talking with Dolly. Even though I knew right away, I mean, I can tell when someone's sincere.
Yeah.
Or, because Dolly first contacted me, she was very tight-lipped, very wary. And I see this all the time. They're very, people want to be sure that they're going to be believed and listened to
hard.
seriously.
She's basically exposing her soul. I was going to say exposing herself. She's basically exposing her soul, is what I wanted to come out with. She's exposing her soul. She's giving you her deepest, darkest secrets and is hoping that it's going to be received well, represented well. Because, I mean, why don't you recap a bit, Dolly, just for anyone who, naughty people who haven't listened to the first show about Dolly's story. We'll let you recap a little bit and then maybe go into maybe some of the resistance that you have encountered along the way since coming out.
Okay. I am a generational contactee. My father, my mother, all of my family on both sides that I'm just realizing about my mom's family are contactees, have been forever. I have been, my mother, my father were both watched and encouraged, somehow brought together to make me and my brother. And they loved each other to the day they passed, and they were very happy together. They were very psychic together. They enjoyed their life, but they were part of a bigger picture, and so am I. And I know it. I've known it since I was very, very, very small. I knew I was different. I had abilities that exceeded that of my parents, and my mother unfortunately had been tampered with by the government. They gave her radiation that should not have been administered to her, and it messed her up a little bit, and it made her paranoid, and it made her afraid. And she tried to talk me out of all of it. She wanted to just us to all have normal lives when I wasn't normal at all. Nope. I was exceeding everything. And it took me a while to step into what I was because of that. And I realized that I either had to prove it to myself or remain crazy with it. And took me about 6 months, and I kept looking for opportunities to prove it. And finally it showed itself when I was 14. They made a big deal out of coming down. I'm sure I'm not the only one that came down for that night. I'm sure that everybody who's like me, a contactee like me, was involved throughout the entire globe. When they did come down and I saw them, I was already ticking off my memory. I was going to determine, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to keep it in my head somehow, and still knocked me out. And that infuriated me and made me mad, but they left me evidence this time. I was wearing somebody else's clothes when I woke up. Okay. You can't do that in a dream. I'm sorry. You just can't. And it was eating at me. And when I went into the kitchen to talk to my mom about it, she immediately started saying, no, I don't want to hear about it, And I was sitting there literally trying to think, how do I talk to this woman and make her hear me? And then the radio came on, and it verified it again. And this time I lost it. I was like, whoop, whoop, She attacked me. No, my poor father heard it. He knew how she was going to keep going if I didn't stop. He wanted me to go get my beans together, and I did. I went in the bathroom, shut down, turned the lights out, and purposefully went back over that night, instant by instant, until I started to remember. And I did. I mean, I was unbelievably crying, grateful. You can't even imagine what it's like to find out that something is true, really true, when I made that realization, I spent a day going through it. I had headaches. I was sick on board that night. I didn't realize that I came back elated and sick at the same time from what I'd gone through that night. I think they wiped my memory a little bit just to give me a chance to acclimate. Is the feeling I get from it, It was tumultuous for me that night, and they just knocked me out a little bit to let me come back to it. My father helped me. I bless him for that every day of my life. He brought me to somebody who also had absolute contact, and knew what he was talking about, and helped talk me through calming down and staying centered and, in the moment. And all those memories just shocked me good, because I had memories, but not all of them. And now I do. And I've had them ever since. I've never lost a moment, never, except, twice. Once when I got my hand implant, and then again, my nasal implant that I ripped out. That was unpleasant. Yeah.
Dolly's talking about, age 14 is when this happened, and they pulled her on board, and ever since then she remembered. But one of the first things she did when she got on board was puke. And when she told me that, I'm like, you're not the first person to puke on board a UFO.
No. I've heard that before. Yeah.
It was bad. I mean, I was wearing a two-piece jammies, and I lifted my shirt to use it for a bag catch-all, and I was just sitting there, and it was gross. Okay, just plain gross. And I'm looking around, and they're like, "It's okay, it's okay." They got me, stuff to soak it up and hauled me off to get cleaned up, and yeah. It was
and now you're just like an old pro at it.
Yeah, exactly. I still get thrilled. I do. Every time I'm going to fly, I get thrilled. I sat Preston down one night and walked him through what it's actually like for me to get in the seat. And I took him through step by step what I do. And it just, you still I get all excited, unbelievably excited that I'm going to go fly. And
so cool. I mean, yeah, we literally did hundreds of hours of interviews over and over again. I would say, "Tell me this again. I want more detail, more detail."
Right. Do you ever think that she'd trip up at some point?
No, I knew.
A little bit of you going, "Oh, she'll trip up somewhere." No.
No, she's got a very good memory. She described how she, her first memories are like 10 months earlier in some cases. Yeah. And when she said that, I'm like, wow, why? This is something I hear from a lot of contactees. Their memories go way, way back. They can remember. And these are events that are so amazing. Whenever anything, amazing happens to you, you remember it. Anything great, or fun or weird, it sticks in your memory. But yeah, over and over again, Dolly would say I remember I was doing research onto people who had physically levitated, flown off the ground, because there's a lot of contactees who have. And Dolly hadn't mentioned this. And so I'm like, "Dolly, let me ask you something. This may sound crazy, but have you ever, levitated physically?" She's like, "Well, yeah, that actually happened." Right. Another time I was doing research on people who've been shrunk down in size.
Oh, come on. Really?
Shrunk down in size. This happened to Betty Andreasen.
You don't know about that story, Michelle?
No.
Oh, I love this one because I had done, a chapter in one of my books. And Betty Andreasen talked about seeing a man shrunk down. And I talked to other people. They come back from their encounter an inch taller or an inch shorter. They go on board. They were short. And I started collecting all these cases. I'm like, "Dolly, I got a question for you." I was just talking to her about it and about what happened to Betty Andreasen. And Dolly's like grinning. And I'm like, "What?" And told this amazing story where she was taken on board. And they took this man and shrunk him down to 2 feet tall.
How is
like the movie?
Possible?
Yeah, really.
Okay, well, all right, let me tell you what happened first, and then I'll explain it. I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I know. We picked up a group, it took about an hour to get everybody out that we were bringing from this area. And 2 of the people came on board, and they weren't actually acting like most contactees. They were real calm. They knew what they were doing. And one of them went back with them while the other one went off to somewhere else. They split off. and I had nothing to do. So I'm curious as a cat, and I can hear comments going on in their minds. And I'm like, okay, I'm following this one, and I followed them. And they went into a room, and I saw a table and some equipment, and something dropped down out of the ceiling that attached to the equipment. And I'm looking, and this guy's taking his clothes off. I'm like, okay, I'm young, and you watch stuff sometimes, people
Sure.
are pretty. So I'm like leaning on the back wall, just going, and he lays down on the table, and the next thing I know, they're shutting a glass dome over him, and I hear a humming, a thrumming sound, okay, and I see the lights change in there, and a mist filled that compartment. It almost became so opaque I couldn't really see what was in there, but I know I could see a shadow, okay? And the mist started sparkling, and like electricity was flying through it. And the next thing I know, he seemed to levitate up off the table slightly, just, about this much. And I saw him. It didn't dawn on me he was getting smaller at first, okay? But when he was about a quarter of the way dropping down, I went, oh my God. And I'm like looking, and I almost walked, tried to go up to the glass and look in, and they're like, no, stay back, stay back. And I'm like, okay. And I watched him shrink. And I mean, he lost more than half his size. He went down to just over 2 feet tall. The mist cleared, everything calmed down, it got quiet. They're walking around him, they're checking him through the glass, they're not touching him yet, they're just looking at him. And it took about 45 minutes before anybody opened that up. And when they did, I thought he was dead. I thought, whatever you've done, you've killed him, because he was not moving at all, okay? And the next thing I know, suddenly he is moving, he's waking up, and he sat up, and they helped him sit up, and 2 other people who were his size walked back in the room. They robed him and walked off with him out back the way they came. And, you have to put your jaw back up. I was literally collecting my mouth off the floor, and I'm looking around the room, and I'm thinking,
I'd be like, why? Why would you want to do that? Like, why would
I
you?
immediately go to Talata for everything like that. If I don't understand, I'm not going to ask them. I will go straight, what, what did I just see? And he pretty much said one thing to me and then explained it to me later. He said, micro and macro. Our universe is micro and macro. There are universes within universes within universes. And size is only relevant to where you're at. And I was like, what does that mean? Explain it to me. And it's like dimensional beings who come here to be with us sometimes are elevated to our size.
Oh, that's
so that they
interesting.
can operate amongst us because they look the most like us. Okay. And because they're light beings. Once you go up in a dimension, you start losing the density of your body. You have less gravity on you. You become more of a light being, and they're able to be made smaller or bigger. And they do it telepathically, which is wildly amazing to me. And it goes beyond my reason now. Someday I may understand it. I don't have the absolute knowledge of this yet, but it is that they are light beings, and they can be made bigger or smaller according to that, because they're dimensional, and they're brought here to work with us, and then they go back. That's what that is. Yep.
Thank you, Michelle. When you think about it, a lot of people have had experiences where they've been pulled through a roof. So why wouldn't they be able to shrink you?
I don't like to think about that part either.
I know, but when you think about it, they pull that energy up. So why wouldn't they be able to decrease it? It makes total sense when you look at it that way. I know some people are probably thinking, Amelia, like you're crazy, but seriously, energy is energy. You can shift it, move it. We work with energy. So it's not far-fetched.
They can do this. I've had a number of people tell me about how they see the UFO. It's 20, 30 feet across. They go inside. It's much larger inside. And in fact, there's a crash retrieval account from Leonard Stringfield involving a UFO that is in government possession. A photographer was brought to photograph the outside. It was a 20, foot craft, I believe. Put him inside. He said you could not have thrown a stone across it. It was much bigger inside. And I asked one gentleman, a Navy medic, I'm like, how big was the room you were in? And he's like, I'm not sure how to tell you this, but it kept changing size. It was small. And then I asked him, where are you from? And the entire room expanded, and they showed him a hologram of our solar system and the star fields beyond. And way off in the distance was this red blinking light. And I said, that's us. That's where we live. And so I asked Dolly about this. I'm like, how big was the craft? And lo and behold, she started telling me, they can change the size.
Right.
This is crazy. It just I'm sorry. It just sort of defies the law of everything.
I want to tell you about. I want to tell you
going
about
through a roof.
Yeah, I want to prequel you a little bit.
Also true.
When I made the decision in my own mind that I wanted to talk about all this to everybody, that I needed to come out with it, because I wasn't hearing it out at all. Okay. When they started letting me having access to the outside world and hearing what's really going on, it dawned on me, oh my God, no one knows this. Okay. And I sat down with Mama and Talata first, and then they brought in some I guess you would call elders, at a station, and everybody sat down with me, and they all looked at me, and there was dead silence in the room. Okay. And they're just staring at me, and I can hear them saying, is she ready? Can she do this? They were all debating among themselves whether I was going to be able to do what I was craving to do. And once a consensus was reached, they all turned to me and said, look, if you do this, you have to be understanding of what it is you face, what this world is like that you're living in, what is going to come at you. And you almost have to learn how to deal with it before you go do it, which is what they did. They ran me through a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff is my karma, and it was my decision, my karma to do this. So some things weren't given to me, but some were. And there are rules set on me for this. I have pathways I'm not allowed to take in my descriptions of things because y'all aren't ready. Okay. I've seen things that y'all just aren't ready to hear. Okay. If you elevate yourself and want to talk to them and want to be taught by them, oh yeah, you'll hear it. You'll see it. Right. But, right. So that's what I've been going through. And I think that they already knew I was going to find Preston. I'm going to be dead honest about this. I think they knew about him before I think they wanted me to find out how tough it was first and then throw him at me. Okay. They knew they was in the wings the whole time. They were waiting to sling him on me. I'm not kidding you. Because he came back too easy. I mean, it's like, I don't know anybody. And straight out of Talata's mind, oh, well, there's Preston Dennett. I was like, who? And they came up with them. And now after all this time, 5 years in, 6 years in, almost, oh my God, we're coming up on an anniversary. It's 6 years. Holy cow. August.
That's
oh my God.
That is so sweet.
Oh, wow. Shoot. You made me mess myself up here. Wait a minute.
I'm the only one talking.
Don't make me cry. Don't do that. I'm an empath. Like, I just pour. Stop.
Oh my God. Yeah, after all this time, I come to lately realize that, oh my God, they knew exactly what they were doing when they sent him to me. Exactly. They knew that he was going to be like the flip side of my coin. He was going to help me where I needed the most. They picked the right person because he does, I mean,
I think Preston needs a tissue.
Okay.
No, I believe that somehow, it's a matter of who is responsible for it all. But I think, when things are supposed to play out a certain way,
exactly,
everything is just put into place. And most of the time you don't even see it coming. And next thing you know, it's in place and you're like, oh.
Maybe I wasn't. Yeah. That kind of thing.
I know Dolly was a little worried about how her story would be received, but I knew that there are people out there who are ready to hear her story. I knew people would receive it really well, and they did. The book went right to #1. More than once on Amazon, best-selling UFO book. on Amazon. I mean, what more can you ask for?
It's healing for all those who have
Yeah.
similar experiences to,
Yeah.
not just their soul, but their mind.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
to
And
put
we all
them at
deserve it.
ease,
That's
and
the
it'll
point.
be easier to move forward if you know that someone else has
Yeah.
this
Exactly. That was my
experience.
whole reason. It's too hard for everybody to walk around in life as it is right now. And they just need to know that there's love and there's hope and there's reality and there's more to what they know now, way more. And everybody deserves to hear that. Everybody.
Right. I'm really happy to hear that it's well received because, I mean, you have some people out there who have difficulty just believing UFOs actually are a thing, let alone people who are being, taken, let alone people who are hybrids or people who are, given tasks to do and integrating into a whole other society in one form or another.
Right. I know. And we're here for such a short time. I mean, the lifespan of a human being in this plane of existence is really not very long at all. And we keep coming back, because we're living out multiple existences. So we learn, but in this one, we are very cut off because we're not connected. And it's just not right that we're not connected. We deserve to be. So.
Right. I agree.
Life feels like forever when we're here, though. It feels like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck here on Earth. What have I done?
I believe everything moves slower here too in this realm. Dolly, what is their most, the message that they try to push? I don't want to say push out, but to lead out, the most. What is the message they want?
It's the one that they broadcast every day, and that is, you are not alone. That's the first one. We're here. We want you to seek us out. We want you to know the truth. And we want you to know that you are loved. You are one of us. We are you. You are us. We are one. That's what they want us to know. And not being alone. I mean, like you were talking about earlier, it is very egotistical to think that you're the only people in the middle of everything, that you're the only ones. You're not. You're not alone.
That's ego. Yeah.
Right.
It's very human, though.
Well, like I said, it's ego.
Yes, it's very human.
Yeah, well, we're all cut off from one another here too. I mean, you wouldn't be cut off if you were totally open psychic. You would know you're not alone. I know I'm not alone.
Absolutely.
I hear everybody all the time. I can't get away from it. Okay, sometimes, but I couldn't live any other way, and I feel everything everybody feels, and we all. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to honestly know that you're loved. It's a wonderful thing to honestly know that you're being treated with respect. It's a wonderful thing to know that you matter, It's a wonderful thing. All these things, we're divided, we're separated, we're pushed apart, we're taught to hate each other. This is not healthy. They do not want that for us, not at all.
This is their central agenda, the main thing. I hear it from pretty much all contactees. They will get the message, we are you, you are us, we are one.
I've heard that. Literally right through a piece of equipment that I had.
Yeah.
Who am I speaking to?
Yeah.
We are you, you are us, we are one. I'm like, damn.
I'm telling you.
Wasn't what we were expecting.
This is a big part of it. And they are trying so hard for people to just recognize that we are autonomous, powerful, unlimited, eternal beings. Right. And this is why I put a lot of, what we would call, quote, paranormal experiences in the book. Because Dolly, has seen spirits, has levitated, has had precognition, telekinesis, out-of-body experiences. This is normal. This is a normal human thing. Right. This is the way we're supposed to be.
Yeah, I think we need to ditch that paranormal where,
No, but a lot of people who have had contact have gone on to be somehow involved in the paranormal. Right. Researching more, because I think it's easier to try to research, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's easier to try to research the paranormal than it is to try to delve into UFOs and contact for whatever reason. People aren't afraid of the paranormal. per se,
Right.
but
That's
they are
true.
very fearful of the little green man, so to speak, as we've been, as has been embedded into, the populace for decades upon decades. So when you're saying, yes, involving the paranormal, like, I don't really like the term abductee as much. I've come to see it very differently, but I know now, it's happened from a young age, and here I am, 2 decades, nose deep into paranormal research and so much more. So do you give it up, or they really do go hand in hand?
They do go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. Energy is energy. It's all energy. It's all light. It's all
Right.
consciousness. And each one has its own identity or individual way it presents itself, but it's still the same thing. We're all part of one thing. We are one. Okay.
Right.
When you pass from your body goes to energy. The physicality part of it leaves, but there's an energy that knits you together, and the Vedics call it prana. Okay, and it is prana. It is an energy. It's the name of a type of energy,
Right.
and that energy is connected to you. It's what guides you back here. It's waiting for you when you come back. When you've reached the part of your karma where you're done with it, it goes with you. You leave with your prana, with that energy. But that's initially what came forward from source for you to find and search out to go to. When you decide to come back each time, your prana is waiting for you. It's in the place it needs to be so that your consciousness can re-indwell. That's how that works. Some people have actually said, people, mediums, people who see energy, you see auras. When somebody passes away, about the 3rd day, you will see the prana leave the actual physical construct of the body and rise up and then sort of dissipate. And that's because it's just going to wait for you to come back. You'll see that energy leaving the body itself. That's why Hindus like to speed that up a little bit and cremate the body so that it releases the prana right away. It's important for them to do so.
Yeah, I see it released right away. If I'm present for the passing, I will see it released right away.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a question that is going to have all conspiracy theorists on their head.
Here we go.
Oh no.
Brace yourself.
Because oh my gosh, now I lost my thought. Are you freaking kidding me? Because I was like, yeah.
Okay.
Do they ever say to you, and I don't want to call them aliens because I don't think it's fair. I think it's a horrible word to use with them. Do they ever say to you, express their concerns for the way this world is being governed?
Absolutely, 100% of the time. Always. It's the topic of discussion.
My messenger's going to ping off like crazy for me asking that now. Yeah, but anyways.
They are, think of it this way. Somebody who loves you and raises you up or cares about you and has been involved in your life, throughout your life, and watches over you and guides you when they can and does for you when they can, but knowing they cannot stop you from your path. In other words, as parents, we raise our children up so that they know what they need to know, and then we let them go. And because they don't belong to us, they come through us. They are not ours, and they must live and fulfill their own lives, their own path. And every mother knows, we all know, all 3 of us in this room know that there comes a day where we're going to sit on the front porch and weep for a day when those children walk out the door. When something happens, when they stumble, when they fall, a good parent knows that you cannot do everything for them anymore. You can't pick them up. You can't dust them off. You can't do any of that. They must. Because you're not going to
tell me that.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, you have to let them do for themselves because it's the only way to learn.
I won't let mine move out.
Oh no. Well, okay.
She's like looking for a house. I'm like, what for?
Well, that's different. No, that's different. She's still taking care of herself, though, somehow, right? She's still responsible for herself. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I said, you leave when you get married. You don't need to leave yet. Right. I look at it as a selfish thing, of course.
Now, you've got a bunch of
I don't want to let go.
Right.
Yeah,
sounds
And
a
you've got
lot
a
but I
like
bunch of
also
free
think,
people.
will.
why do you want to spend the money? Just stay home.
Right.
Yeah. It
No
sounds
one
a lot.
ever, no one ever truly learns that the stove is hot until you touch it.
Right.
I
Nice.
know.
Yes.
But now
I know.
Amelia
You know
just
what I
made my
mean?
She doesn't
point. Let me
cook.
get to my point now, okay? She said it. I want to expound upon it. ET feels the same way, but we cannot hear their advice. You're not listening to them. You're not listening to your parents. They are our progenitors. They're here for us. They have been here for eons. They have been here for many peoples throughout time with us to help guide us. But we're cut off right now. We are not hearing them. You do not have a personal relationship with them at all. That's what they want because they can't do anything for you until you can hear them, period.
How
Yep.
do you have the conversation with people who believe in God and God only?
Because it is the concept of God that I'm speaking of, literally. They believe in it, they call what you would call God the all mind. And their understanding of it is way past anything people here understand, okay? But it's still the same thing conceptually. We belong in a universe where we were brought into being by an all mind, and we're part of it. We all exist within it. We're each element, we are each speck of it, and we share equally in it together, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is okay. We are psychically connected. You were born with the ability to hear and speak with the universe, to hear it, to download from it, to learn from it, to OBE constantly and without any impediments. You're born to levitate. You're born to use your innate gifts to explore in a physical realm, to learn, to wear the knowledge that you gain. When you're in source, you have everything given to you. You know everything, but you don't have the physical experience to employ it as wisdom. Okay. And that's how you elevate your consciousness. That's how you exceed what you began as, and you reach toward the all mind, to be in conversation, complete conversation with the all mind. That's their concept of God. Okay. Same thing. There's no difference whatsoever. People pray every day. They pray to God, but you're praying to a dead phone. They can't hear you. He can't hear you. She can't hear you. The universe can't hear you. And you've been lied to. You've been told that it doesn't exist, that you don't have this ability. And I'm telling you, you do. And so are they.
Okay.
And they want you to.
I have a really good one. I know it's good
Okay.
because
Da, da, da.
no,
Okay.
it just because as you were speaking, it was given to me. I know it was given. It wasn't something that.
Okay.
So a lot of people believe Moses was given these commandments from up above, whatever is above. Were they still? Because it's not as if they couldn't have done that.
The knowledge of biblical history and biblical knowledge, all of it, either biblical or oral, okay, spoken up through the ages, either from the Sumerians all the way through the Babylonians, all the way up to Christians, Jews, all of us, Hindu, Buddha, all of them have been taught to teach what I've been taught as moral responsibilities, okay? Morality is your key to wisdom. It is how you conduct yourself through wisdom to gain the knowledge you need to exceed yourself, okay? And the truths of those wisdoms, the truths of those moralities. Yes, Moses was probably listening and wrote those things down. Is the entire voice of the Bible absolutely perfect? I want to tell you that it could be. I want it to be, but I know that I've witnessed throughout this history, and there's no denying this, that man has degraded it. Man has done things and put things in the mouths of those who would tell the truth, and now they don't know the truth. See what I'm saying? The church is not helping itself right now, because the ones who have the knowledge, the wisdom to tell you the truth are not speaking it. They're hiding it. They're shrouding it. And that's scaring me. Okay. When I sit and listen to men talk, I hear them shroud things that are not right. I hear them do things behind the doors that are not right. They're not, a lot of stuff has been taken from the light and is put into pitch black, and it's not right. And ET knows this as well.
This is why contact is so widespread right now. It's no coincidence that onboard UFO encounters ramped up huge, coinciding exactly with the atomic age. 1947, prior to 1947, there's lots of evidence that we've been visited by ETs for millennia. But what's happening now is unprecedented. We are starting to go down a pathway of self-destruction. And they're like, well, we can't land and take over. It's against karmic laws. People have to learn to make their own mistakes. But this is when contact became very widespread. There are estimates, early on, J. Allen Hynek said 1 in 40 people. I read that in 1988 or something. I'm like, no, I would know of someone who's been taken on board. Turns out I knew 5. And then the Roper poll came out a year or 2 later. It said, well, it's 1 in 50, we think. The Roper organization did a poll. So it's widespread, and the ETs are basically doing a grassroots movement, contacting everybody and doing their best to wake us up. And the messages people get, if you are not screaming your mind off when you're taken on board, if you can actually listen, beyond them telling you, don't be afraid. Why are you screaming? It's okay. They will tell you, the messages are very consistent. It's often nuclear proliferation and the dangers of, our use of nuclear weapons. It's about our warlike ways. It's about greed and corruption. It's about pollution. It's about preparing for the pathway we're going down. So they're very, very concerned. They're trying to help us.
Right.
I went over and over with this in the book. I've talked a lot about the people who've been taken on board and healed. Some very touching stories.
See, and that's what I want to bring across, because, we're getting some comments coming in chat about, people being taken from the beds and experimented on. Is there a difference now between, maybe, are we talking MyLab? Are we talking?
Yeah, there's a lot of MyLab going on, and that's
can we explain
more
that
than
to people
concerning.
who don't understand the difference between the two? Because I don't want people to fear contact because of the stereotypical thing, when it's really
something else.
People who are doing it.
Yeah, which shouldn't come as a surprise.
Yeah, so if you guys don't mind, and then we'll keep going with other questions.
MyLabs happen in certain areas more frequently than others. In other words, they're outside. They're not in real high traffic areas.
And what is MyLab exactly?
Well, it started with
for those who don't know.
Yeah, it started with the Majestic 12. They decided that they were going to do anything they possibly could not to allow the public to know what was going on. And then it morphed, and it went into the MK Ultra series. And the MK Ultra series was, they allowed the government, because they knew they were back engineering crafts that they caught to do things. And they were trying to emulate what was in that technology, what they were learning from it. And one of them was psychic ability. The other one was transference of an entity who can indwell a craft, because they know the crafts are indwelled. They upped their computer technology because of back engineering. It's all of it. And they began experimenting on humans. It started out with prisoners, and then it moved to plagues and stuff like that, and all kinds of stuff. The corporations were given entity status. You realize that an incorporated company is an entity. It's a living person. They took that entity and gave it privilege. They gave it the ability to say it had the right to do whatever it needed to do to exist. People don't get that. It's true.
But they can look that up, because she's not lying.
Yep. Yeah. Corporate personhood, it's called. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. In that corporate personhood is the ability to experiment on people, i.e. the drug companies were given a leash to give you drugs that weren't possibly 100% okay, but it was enough to do what they thought it would do. They cross drugs over. It's like they got a drug, they can't use it for this, but they'll experiment on people to see what it will do. That's backhanded BS as far as I'm concerned. They gave insurance companies the ability to tell doctors and nurses how to help people, how to treat them, what was going to be used and what wasn't going to be used in healthcare. That is why I quit nursing. I woke up one day and went, oh, no, nah, I'm not following your preception rules. I'm a nurse. I know what medicine is. I know what it takes to heal somebody, and I'm not going to do it your way because your way is BS. It was experimentation live and in person in a hospital. I stopped. I wouldn't do it anymore. I could go on for days about that. We are the subject and subjects of a giant world organization that has us in its grips. If you don't think you're a slave, you are wrong. They use money against you. They dangle money from you. That's the whip. Okay, they dangle carrots in front of you to make you want. They have you so buttoned up, and they're thinking that how they want you to think. One of these days, they're going to crook their finger, and everybody's going to run to a location because they think they'll be safe. I got news for you. That's not good. Okay, they're getting ready to start that now. They're overtly taking control because they're about to do some really bad damage.
Right. This is no joke. My lab stands for military abduction, and the cover-up is no joke. There was that recent congressional hearing, and everyone's like, "Yay, yay!" I'm like, "Did you actually listen to it? It was lies." Right. People ask me, "Why don't you trust the government?" Well, other than the fact that they've lied about this whole UFO situation from day one and still are. Yeah. Look at what they have done to us. Look at how they have given people venereal disease, radiated soldiers, sterilized minorities.
They've done it to civilians as well. You look at our history, human history, it has always involved war, famine, disease. We have existed in this constant cycle where we have not been able to walk out of it. And it's always involved in a government that is out of its mind. Look at Hitler. Hitler was out of his mind. Look at Napoleon. I mean, need I go on? Understand when it gets really, really bad, Mussolini. If you see somebody calling war, we need war, blah, 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 you're about to be annihilated. Okay, look at the good people of Ukraine. They didn't ask for this, and yet it's been perpetrated upon them. Why do we think that's okay?
Oh, Putin's crazy.
Well, so is our government too, just to be honest about it. Okay, they're amassing. There's over 100,000 troops in Europe right now. Read up on it. He's about to declare war. Not a joke.
I know. I just want to say something. I'm like, so even though we've had you here before, I can never get enough of both of you, really. I have so many questions because I'm still learning so much about this, and I always believed there was something else. I've always had fear of it. I'm not gonna lie. I do have fear of it. Do you think you were speaking about having wars in our world? Have you noticed the peaceful countries?
Yes.
Maybe is it safe to say that perhaps they've had an awakening, sort of, so to speak, in the sense that more contact and more understanding, and that's why they're more peaceful? Because a lot of people make fun of Canada because we're quiet, except for the nut job that's running us right now. But could it be from that?
It has to do with resources.
Okay.
And it has to do with the willingness. And resources mean you have to have good weather. You have to have the ability to produce product. You have to have the ability to produce essentials in that it can be moved, it can be transported. You have to have people who are willing in technology and a population big enough to employ that. And we've had that in this country, and actually Russia somewhat, and other countries who are industrially advanced, like China, countries that are not are trying to catch up with us, and they've been spreading the information around, but they haven't been spreading good stuff. I don't see the backworld countries getting water and proper care and proper medicine. I see them getting nukes and more war and more hate and more violence.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
more
not
training to commit war.
Okay.
There are other countries like that are just sitting there, like who you don't realize, and this is where truth telling is really needed. There is really no country that is absent from strife or problems right now. There's no
No.
country that isn't being attacked. There's nobody on this planet that isn't
I meant
under the gun.
I meant not active in war, like Denmark, the Netherlands. Canada's not active in war. We go in and we clean up. We don't really attack. We come in and we rebuild.
Right, but do you see what's happening right now? Where is NATO? What are they trying to do in NATO? What are they fighting about?
Yeah, that's
They're trying to bring them in. They're trying to enlist them at this point, and they won't stop until they do, and they will. So,
I have other questions I would like to get to.
There's a lot of them.
How do you stop unwanted visits?
I think a lot lot want to know that answer because there's
absolutely
few. Yeah,
intention,
especially if they're my lab.
Yeah. My lab, I'm not going to guarantee you my lab isn't going to get you, but what I can tell you about my labs is that if you're being bothered, get the hell out of where you're at. Up and move. Leave no forwarding address. Leave.
Now, does my lab work with different species, or should I say races of ET? Because other people...
my lab has nothing to do with anybody except here.
Right.
My lab is not ET. It is not ET driven. It is not ET extended.
Just to be clear, because comments have been made, and I just want, I know
no way and at no time is ET involved, incorporated, or part of any of the shenanigans that go on this planet. Not at all.
So what do you do when somebody says to you, they've had an abduction that's pretty much, you could tell technology that we don't have, let's say, or the military doesn't have, compared to technology of other races that are far advanced, but they swear up and down there was, for example, a gray or a reptilian in these more primitive type crafts.
First of all, it's important that they're talking. Let them talk. Okay.
Yeah.
Listen to their story. It behooves us. To open our arms and go, okay, let's help you figure this out and work with them and help them work through what just happened to them.
Right.
They're a victim of something, and you don't say, oh, it can't be this or it can't be that. Believe that they are a victim of something and help them work it out. You show them love. You show them kindness. You take them in. You help them get through so that they can realize what it really was. And once they do, help counsel them through it. That's what we do as loving people. That's why we take care of our neighbors. That's why we take care of one another. Right. So no, do not ignore them. Do not accuse them of being crazy or anything like that. They are to be worked with and believed, because their story is real to them. Right. Okay. And they need help. They're asking for it. When they open their mouth, they're asking for help. There are plenty of people who are ex-MyLabbers who are out on the internet. You should find them. Penny Marshall is one of them. Go listen to what she says. She's a good counselor for this. So is Lynn Wallington. Okay. Lynn Wallington's a fantastic counselor. She is a counselor in real life. She's a MyLab victim as well. And they decided to fight this, and they fought back against it, and they speak out against it.
So why do they go after certain people, MyLab?
I don't really think they care, to be honest with you. Okay. I mean, I almost was in their traps. I mean, I was almost MK5'd, okay? Right. Yeah. I was almost with Penny. I know Penny. I met her, okay?
Yeah, we've had Penny on. If you're listening and you're curious.
When someone is having contact and they're being traumatized and they don't like it, right? First thing I tell them is, okay, let's just take a breath. Let's step back. Let's look at exactly what has happened to you. Write this down. Let's examine this very carefully. Have they actually hurt you, or is this just a lot of fear you're having? And if you are at the point where you're like, I don't care either way, I just want this to stop. I have talked to people who have stopped their encounters. 4 years, at some point they sometimes will come back and say, are you ready now? But if you're like, no, I want to live a normal life, you put that out, you put that forth with your will and say, no,
and
not
They will agree
want
to it.
contact. And
Right.
that has worked for people. But I tell you, I've talked to a lot of people who've had this experience, and the vast majority will say, yes, it was difficult, but I now understand they're not evil. I had a hard time, but overall I have gained more than I've lost from this.
Mm-hmm.
And they do want their experiences to continue. But it's very difficult in the
I agree.
beginning because and the best thing you can do is try to step away from fear and recognize, they're not trying to hurt you.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're being, mylabbed, that is another story.
Mm-hmm.
And our government is dangerous and does not have our best interests in mind.
Yeah.
I'll call it our government, but it's really not our government per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's a group of people.
Right.
Yeah.
So that is a very difficult situation. It's a real problem. We have to allow love and truth to guide our actions. We have to move beyond fear and divisiveness and hatred. It's a lie. This is why the ETs keep saying, we are one, you are one, we are all one. Love each other.
Right. And when you run into somebody who's been mylabbed, you move heaven and earth to help them. You do what you got to do to make them help walk them through it,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have to take a really quick sponsor ID and station ID.
Yeah, and then we can address all those comments that I see there. I hope that we're
I've got a
helping
question
John over
queued
there.
to go. So yeah.
You were listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano, coming to you live from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. Tonight we've got the amazing Dolly Safran and the incredible Preston Dennett with us, talking all about Dolly's experiences. And Preston is an incredible writer and experiencer and investigator as well. Stream or listen to our archives on the platform you normally use. A huge thank you to the amazing people at Folgers Coffee for fully sponsoring our show from day one. We love you and we thank you so much. Also, a huge thank you to the voice and the music of our intro and outro, Dr. Snick, the sonic surgeon, Justin Snicker, award-winning composer and musician. You can find his music on Amazon and Bandcamp, and find him on Facebook and Instagram. Check him out.
Bam.
We have a lot. Yeah, I see all of John's comments there. Tamara says, do you know what happened to Planet X? We're going really, really far back now. Yeah.
Okay.
Get as many as we can.
When we were on Mars, when our family members were on Mars, the people before us, we lived in a system of really honestly 9 planets. Pluto really is only a part of the Kuiper Belt. But there were 9 full planets in the system. Huge, big ones. Mars was much bigger than it is now. It's bigger, way bigger than Earth. We had a rogue planet, and that's what I was taught. I wasn't taught it was Planet X. I was just taught that it's a rogue planet, and it had an elliptical orbit to ours, and it came in and it hit us hard. It hit Mars. It hit the 9th planet, one of the 9 big giants that were in the same planes with us. In other words, orbiting together in a cluster was, you have Mars, Venus, Earth, okay, and Jupiter. Venus. Wait, Mars, Venus, Earth. I'm losing my mind. Anyways,
we know what you mean.
Bad day. Okay, I've had a bad day. Anyway, so Mercury. Yay!
Yeah, the trouble planet.
Okay, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars.
Retrograde culprit.
Now I got it. Okay, my brains are going woo, woo, woo. Anyways, but before that, Venus was a little bit further out. Mars was further in. Earth was a sister planet to Mars. We were in a double orbit. We're opposite each other. And then the other planet was also in a sister orbit with us higher up. It was elliptically higher. It wasn't spun down all the way yet into a flat plane of planets evolving. They're different. It came in and smacked that planet, tore it to pieces, blew it to smithereens. But Mars was right there also, and it like cue-balled it. And the entire outside of Mars just blew off. Okay? Mars died instantly. Died. Its whole core went, no more, can't live, no function, no nothing. It is now outgassing. It has volcanic action, but that's the rocks are grinding each other and causing magma to come up. That's a symptom of outgassing. It is a dead cord planet. It will never exist with life again. It is gone. It is a rock. Okay. That's what was at Planet X. Now they talk about Nibiru, but there is no Nibiru. It is a myth about what actually happened to us when Mars took the hit where we were. We were taken away from Mars long before that hit occurred. We were moved to safety. And then it took a long time for everything to settle back down. Earth's complication was that we had dinosaurs on here. Probably the reptilians were with them. Somehow they survived. The dinosaurs did not. And this planet went cold. I mean, iced over, ice age. And it was like that for a long time. Earth's got a not solid core anymore. It bulges out because of that hit. It wobbles because it was knocked out of its alignment and it tilted, and that makes the wobble. Okay. The moon was not a happy camper either. The moon is part of that problem. The moon did not come from Earth. That is not true. The moon is its own satellite, and it got clipped into orbit around us, and it was spinning when it did it. We spin it also. Now we have seasons. They looked at that and they thought, okay, this is a situation. They really wanted to bring us back to this system. It's in a good place for us. The Earth looked good to them, and they thought, okay, we'll just bring them back and see what we got. We're not the group that came back. 280,000 years ago, another group came back. And we've done this multiple times because there is a cycle on this Earth that is repeated over and over and over again. Every 12,000 years, our sun micronovas. Every 6,000 years, we flop and we go into what they call a water event, where we flop over, the wind starts first, then the water, and it takes everybody out. That's why all the huge trees got destroyed, everything, all of it just whopped out. These are things that are actually true, but you don't know the truth of them because you haven't been told the truth. You haven't been given evidence to prove any of this. They've kept you stupid, ignorant, and usable the whole way through. That's the truth of it. Now, sometimes truth comes out. Some things they let out that are a little anomalies that you can't explain, like why are there footprints in the sediment that correlate with dinosaurs? How did that happen? And what kind of footprints are those? Okay. Got news for you. We were around. Okay. We were still walking. There were some dinosaurs left after the calamity, but there weren't that many of them. They did die off because the climate changed. They couldn't take it. We watched the woolly mammoth die. We watched the saber-tooth die. We watched all kinds of things go extinct. The amount of extinction on this planet is so bad, there's no way we could have evolved new animals over and over and over again over the 280 million years since the Mars incident happened for it to be. And you need to think clearly, critically think about how the hell did that happen? How come all of a sudden, and we're losing animals now? Do you know how many extinctions there have been now? Because we're coming up to the 12,000 year cycle. But on top of that one, we've got this 6,000 year. So we're going to have a micronova and we're going to have a water event within a certain amount of time of one another. We're coming up to it. It's going to happen. And they don't want you to know because ET will not help anybody who is not going to hear the truth or want the truth or act with morality. And the evil on this planet is very well ensconced here, and they mean to do you harm so that they can survive their way. What do you think all those underground bases are for? What do you think all those seed depositories are for? Are you privy to how to get at it when you need to? No, you're not. You're not invited. Are you privy how to get underground when it's time? No, you're not. You're not invited. But we are invited to not be here. And that's obvious. It's obvious.
Yeah, this is why shows like yours are so important. The truth is getting out. Yeah. This is really good news if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, because our planet has been living in misery and war and greed and corruption and divisiveness for far too long. It's not sustainable. It's not going to be that way in the future. We are moving towards a golden age at some point. So I am super excited. People are waking up. This is awesome.
Yeah, they want us to make it through this. They want us to be prepared, to be ready, okay? Because when this is all over with, they are going, well, not the micronova. They're coming before that. It's the CME that they're having to sit out for, okay?
Right.
We're ready.
Just a message to John. John, we're streaming across 8 different platforms right now, and we're trying to make our way through many different comments and many different questions. We're not ignoring you. We're actually just trying to get to a lot of people right now.
Yeah, and I promise, I swear, I go back after every show and I go through all of the chat and all of the comments and I answer. So
yeah, Dolly's great about that.
We will get to it.
Can I just now we talk about them being love and light and everything, and sometimes we hear about different races that can be nasty. Is that true? I mean, we have good and bad here. We have different shapes and sizes, different colors. Why wouldn't it be the same there?
Because you've been taught there's a boogeyman and there's no boogeyman surrounding us out there.
No, I'm hearing it from people who have had experiences. I'm not saying that's something I was taught.
Well,
Sorry.
There are things that are here that are boogeymen, and it can make you think they are. Evil takes many forms. The simplest one that I know of is pure and simple demons. There are demons on this planet. There are entities that live on this earth for a time, and they're demons, and they can take any shape or form they want, and they can make you believe anything. And if they see something going on and they can use it, they will. We have right now a series of events happening, and they're taking advantage of it in half. That's one faction of them. Okay. Then there's my labs. They can make you think that you're being attacked by evil ETs or brutal ETs. I mean, they're very good at it. They have mind control like you would believe. They'd spend years learning how to do that on you. There's all kinds of things going on, but above us in this galaxy, nope. They've evolved to the point that no. There are several planets in our galaxy that are cradles of life, and we're one of them, and we're watched over.
I want to address this because John has put in a lot of comments, and he is. I mean, he's had a very, he's basically. I'll just put up this one comment, and they've taken his DNA. You hear stories of this all the time. DNA, sperm gets taken for hybridization. What do you say to somebody who's experienced something like this? Is this my lab?
Okay.
That's traumatic.
Who beside us has he told? Who has he worked with at all yet?
John, do you want to chime in on that? Who have you told besides here on in chat? So we'll just let him chime in.
Yeah, and if you want to be more private about it, it's okay.
Back channel me to him, and I will put him in touch with Lynn Wallington. I have a deal with her that if we run across this, they go to her first because she has the ability, she has the resources, and she has the knowledge to help him with that.
Well, Preston's. I told close family and friends. Okay, so Preston's website is right up here. You can see it scrolling across the bottom
right now,
and he can connect you and Dolly or Lynn.
Either one is fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I would also point people to my YouTube channel. I'm putting out my research there. Just the facts, all the different experiences people have. You can learn about what's going on here. A lot of people are having these experiences, and my heart goes out to those who are experiencing trauma and negative experiences. It is a wide universe. It is entirely possible there are ETs out there who do not have our best interests in mind. However, I'm going to make this point because it's important people understand. If ETs were here to take over and hurt us, they've been around for millennia. That hasn't happened. That is not their agenda. ETs who have the ability to travel between star systems are not going to come to little old Earth when there are many other planets. Here's an example. I interviewed a lady who was taken on board, had a horrible childhood with this, just hated it. They were kidnapping me against my will. And finally, she got over her fear, had fully conscious contact, and talked to a gray. He said, my name is Sen. She said, why have you been doing this to me? And they said, well, you agreed to be part of this project. You agreed to share your DNA with us. We have been having trouble reproducing. She said, are you planning on taking over our planet? He said, no. Your planet is far too crowded, polluted. There are many, many other planets out there. And she had this very long conversation. She felt much better.
Right.
Santa apologized. We never meant to cause you trauma. That was not our agenda.
And I think this is part of the thing that John's trying to say. I think, he's like, this wasn't a nightmare. This wasn't like, this was real. This really happened. I think I'm getting the sense that somebody is, like, obviously goes, I'm like, here, I'll put some comments up.
Yeah, I'm a highly educated guy. Sorry, Michelle.
No, I'm putting it up for you. Sorry.
Thank you. In my daily life, I'm highly logical and pragmatic. You're not the only one. This happened many years ago when I was studying to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I agree. I do not think there's anything amiss with you mentally at all. Okay. I believe that you've had these experiences. I believe that you're experiencing this, period. What needs for you to have happen is a resolution of who, what, where, when, and why. In other words, you need to be able to research just what exactly is going on, because I hear clearly that you don't know that. And that's the first order of business right here, is to help you reach the conclusions, the knowledge of what it is and why it is, who it is, where it is.
Especially.
Right. There are people here that I know, Lynn Wellington is one of them, who is expert at this. And she's not only an ex, my labber, she's a counselor, a certified counselor. She can hypnotize. She can do all that stuff. She can actually help you in ways that I would suggest that you try to get help that way. She's not going to think that you're a mental case or anything. She's going to believe what you say and help you try to ferret it out and actually help you find evidence and things like that.
Yeah, so definitely connect with Dolly or Preston and get the ball rolling on that.
You made a comment there that says, as crazy as it sounds, nothing here sounds crazy.
No, not at all.
Nothing here, not your experience, not anything we talk about. Lakeisha Joe Petaway says, I wonder how accurate the Book of Aliens that came from the guy in quotation marks
it's funny
in Russia is.
She goes, FY wasn't a guy. It's okay.
Yeah.
So somebody out there.
I don't know. I absolutely, honestly can tell you that I have never seen it. I've talked to Preston about it. I know it exists, but I've never seen it. I would love to see it. I know who I've been in contact with. I know how many that I've seen, but I know that is infinitesimally small compared to how many there really are. So I would be curious to see the book.
You would. I've done a bit of research on it as well. It's definitely out there. I think you can actually buy, the rewritten modern version of the book on Amazon, and appreciate responses. Yeah, it takes us a while. We're on 8 different platforms at the same time, we're trying to get everyone in there. So happy to help, and if you're having a hard time connecting with anyone, just email us at theouterrealmcontact@gmail.com, and we will put you in touch directly.
Now, I have one important question of John.
Yes.
Does John meditate? Does he know how?
John, that one's for you.
This is a real experience, and it infuriates me when people say, oh, it's psychological. ETs aren't real. Yeah. People are missing from their homes. This is 100% a real experience. The evidence for it is overwhelming.
Right.
So people need to know you're not crazy. I can't tell you how many experiencers have told me, I've never told anyone. People think I'm crazy. No. This has happened to a lot of people.
One comment I want to make, sorry, I keep accidentally muting myself. One comment I want to make is there was a time where when you would see anybody in the media, whether it be radio or television, you would hear, oh my God, that's just crazy. That's a whack job talking, blah, blah, blah. Now you hear people who are, esteemed, well-educated people. You will see them on television and hear them on radio. And they start with, I'm not going to lie, I believe there's something out there, but it scares me. So at least we have that much moving forward, because we are a little bit further ahead.
We're trying to decide how we're going to react to it. That's right. But you're on the platform, you're looking down and you're gauging how far it is and what's going to feel like when you get in. That's normal. You shouldn't think that you're wrong for thinking that way. You are right. That is self-preservation, and we all have it. It's important, and don't lose that. But take the next step. Research what's going on. Look at it critically. Open your eyes. Use every method that you can discern the truth by, whether it's put cameras on your doors or leave your lights on or have somebody take turns sleeping at night, keep people up. Do stuff like that. Make way for that. Read about it. Read science journals. Learn about how the real world exists and how nature exists. Learn how to use your camera properly. Learn what camera shooting is, how your lens is and your camera's going to see things not the same as your own eyes. Learn to distance things. Become a good observer, a trained observer, so that you can help yourself. Don't live in the dark. Open your eyes, lighten it up, and go for it. That alleviates fear. Movement always reduces your fear. Okay. If you take the first step, you're moving and you're walking through it. Everything else will take care of itself, but you make a plan for yourself to just move through it and breathe. Okay. Meditate, keep going. Nothing is going to hurt you. If ETs have never hurt anybody, they've only healed people. The only people that hurt people are on this planet. Okay. If you can put a Ring camera on your door because you're looking for burglars, you can put one on your door to prove whether ET's coming and dinging your house. They can be photographed. That's a fact. Right up until the power goes out, and then that's a big clue. If your whole house power goes out and you look at your power breakdown and your bill shows a big dead space, wonder what happened. If the power company can't explain it, you might have had a UFO over your house. Okay, these are cognitive ways of discernment so that you can alleviate yourself of everything that it's not and prove what it is. Deduce, deduct, find out, talk about it, ask your neighbors, did you see something in the neighborhood weird? Open a dialogue with everybody around you. The more we hide, the more we don't talk, the more we hold up and close it up, fear will fester in us faster than anything else. Doubt, all of it. Paranoia, the whole thing.
Remember, Dolly's a fully conscious contactee. And I've talked to others, and they are saying the same things. But when you are not, when you are having missing time, what happens is what you remember is the trauma. This is what comes to the forefront, what you have to deal with. So that initial stages are very hard and can cause you to take a negative viewpoint of this.
Right.
And I understand that. My heart goes out to people. This is not easy for some people. And it's not fun in the beginning, especially. But if you can move past your fear, I promise you will see that they're not here to hurt you. Right. I have studied this intensely. When someone is taken on board a craft, the single most common thing is being physically examined. And that is the hardest part. This is the most traumatic. People see a needle and they're like, they hate it.
Hell yeah. Good. Hell to the yes. Not a fan.
Right. But you are not going to get accounts of sadism or torture or anything like this. That is not their agenda at all. They want you to move past fear so they can take you off that table and say, look.
So why examine you then?
Okay, there's a reason for that. It's an absolute reason. Okay. I'm not
I was going to say, that's not me.
Thank you.
Adam's family's in show.
Thank you. Yes, it's my children who all freaking know I have a radio show Wednesdays and Thursday nights.
Okay, I love it. We're under heavy, tons of heavy gamma radiation, okay? Our own U.S. government needed to prove it to themselves, and they did it with a couple astronauts, okay? They know that we're taking heavy gamma, and they proved why it's dangerous. We have 2 astronauts, they're identical twin brothers. One went up and stayed up for over a year, came down. Their DNA did no longer match. It was the brother who was in space. It degraded it. We know that gamma radiation derases our DNA. Why do you think there's so much more cancer? Why do you think there's so much more autism, breathing problems, autoimmune disorders? You name it. The list is endless. Why do you think that's happening to us? It's because of gamma radiation, and the governments know it. And they don't tell the truth. ET has been helping us by holding us up genetically. They're checking your DNA to make sure they don't need to do an adjustment to you to keep you going. Period. That's why you're examined. That's why you're watched. That's why whole families are watched, because some are more prone to things than others. Okay, that's one of the pratfalls of this. Okay, they are taking care of us, not the other way around. They are not harming us. They're not doing you disservices. They're helping us breed. And I want to tell you something else. We are becoming sterile as a race. It's not a joke. And they've been bolstering us up that way. You don't know this. I don't know how old everybody is in this room, but there was a huge thing in the late 60s, early 70s when they realized that men were becoming sterile. And they couldn't understand why, that their sperm counts were dropping to nothing. Okay.
Betty Andreasen talked about this. This is exactly what the ETs told her. Quasica, a gray alien, said, you are on the road to becoming sterile. Quasica told Betty Andreasen, love is the answer for humankind. That's a direct quote from a gray.
Yeah.
Does that sound bad? No.
Right.
No.
I'll tell you something else. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, she's one of the people who's kind of woken up to this. She recently passed. But you will see the people who have really worked with the ETs to a large degree have very good things to say about them.
Right.
I'll tell you something else. If you have no joy in your life, if you have fear in your life, if you have constant worry about things, anxiety, your body is not going to heal itself very well. Get it?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
So I think it's just a matter of, when you have somebody like John, is it a matter of reframing it? Yes, it was a terrible experience. And hey, yeah, I would have liked to have been asked, but maybe he was not allowed to. Maybe it's because they've wiped his memory. Maybe he said yes at one point, Beagle, ? To it, or, is it for the greater good?
Or this is a controversial part of the whole contact experience,
right?
Because we are compartmentalized in our consciousness, and we will agree to things that we are not aware of.
Yes. And I want to tell you something that it also goes back to how we treat one another here. Okay. I'm going to open up and say something that I never thought I'd reveal to anybody. Okay. John, listen to me. You're hearing a person who has been through unbelievable, untold, foul things in her life, but not by ET, by my human compatriots, people who I trusted, have taken advantage of me, have tried to kill me, have harmed me, made me. I can't even tell you how bad it is. One of them was where I was poisoned, and hopefully they thought I would die. They didn't bank on the fact that I am one tough chick, okay? And I did not allow that evil to come down on me. I didn't cry about it, didn't think about it. All I knew is that I was going to outlive him, okay? That I was going to stand up and crow. No, not happening, not to me. E.T. would never do that to you, okay? And if they did, trust me, everybody in the ET community would have been going, that's not going to happen. That's not who they are. I've never, not once, experienced any evil thought or deed by them, ever, not once. Okay. So I know that I'm pretty positive that he's been my lab. That's my opinion, but he needs to ferret it out for himself. But his attitude, he needs to find a way to hold himself up, to find the strength in himself. And he has it. It's there because he's bitching now. If you can bitch, you can fight. That's right.
That's it. Fight for it.
Go for it. Fight back.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. It's good to go public. And I've had friends say that to me too. Go public.
Yes.
All the time. So we're coming obviously to the end of the show already. Dang it. We have to do like a part 2 or something. I say yes, darn it, we'll do it. And so this is the part where Preston, promote. Where do you find the book, website, what you got coming up? Dolly, same. Let's do it.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate that. Yeah, the book's called Symmetry, a true UFO adventure. I have a website. Just punch my name. It should take you there.
Yeah, it's right here. Scrolling across the stream too.
And I'm on YouTube. I'm all over social media. The book's available on Amazon. You can order it through bookstores. It's an important subject. I really appreciate you having us on. I know Dolly has a YouTube channel. She's put out a lot of her videos that she's taking. She's got proof. It's not just her telling a story. She's got medical proof, corroborative witnesses. photographic evidence.
You need to promote your Friday video.
My what? Are you talking to
Your
me?
Friday video, yeah.
Are you talking to me?
You're talking yeah, we're putting out Dolly's photographic evidence in a video because it's important that people realize that there is evidence to support not only her story, but everyone has a certain amount of evidence that I've talked to can prove their story to a certain extent. And when I started talking to Dolly, I'm like, do you have any photographs? And she's like, well, I keep trying to, but they won't let me. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that a million times. And she talked to the ETs and she's like, listen, a photograph would be nice. And I said, fine. And they did.
That's what I said. I got nothing. It's time.
Yes. Photobomb. Well, it was a pleasure having you guys on. And I definitely think we should do it again at some point, and have to see how far down. I know, Preston, I know you're returning again. And we'll definitely do one with the two views. A lot of people are chiming in. So just so you know, Dolly, I see Preston's been responding. Dolly will and always does go back into the chats and answers questions directly. So if we weren't able to get to you guys tonight or weren't able to put in all the comments, again, 8 streams, sometimes it's a little bit harder to keep up with everything. So just watch for that. And then you get to interact yourself and contact the two of them on your own. And if you have stories to share, that's the best way to do it. Preston's always looking for stories. He's always writing books, always researching. So bear that in mind. Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Yeah, I'm also on Facebook. I mean, I'm Dolly Safran no matter what. So, you can look for me that way. Okay.
There you go. Not the most common name, so be nice and easy. So, so guys, thank you for joining us, and I'll be in touch. All right. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Good night. So that was just awesome. Wow, it's hard to believe the time went by so quickly, but thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to everybody in chat. So sorry we could not get to everyone. I'm sorry. We do try, but we also like to make sure that the guests get everything out there that they want to guess. And at this point that they want to talk about, and it looks like we'll have to do it again. But a big thank you to Preston Dennett and Dolly Safran for tuning in. Big thank you to Folgers Coffee for standing by us and continuing their support of sponsorship. Also, big thank you to Justin Snicker, Dr. Snick, for his sponsorship. If you enjoy whichever platform you are listening to the show on, please subscribe or give it a like. We really do need and appreciate your support. Keep an eye open now for the podcast awards. You're going to start seeing a lot of things coming up, and go in and vote. Go in and vote. We did really good last year, and everyone on the network did actually. So please go in and have a look-see, and keep your eye open for all the little videos that we're going to put up. If you would like to contact us directly, the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Again, the Outer Realm Contact at gmail.com. Tomorrow night, this is going to be really awesome for the very first time. And again, I really hope I'm saying this properly. I'm going to say Michael Clerk. It could be Mikhail. I don't know. I really hope that I'm saying it properly. But he's going to discuss how you can harness the power of your unconscious through dream incubation. Sounds complicated, but fascinating. It's an age-old technique that teaches you to access hidden wisdom that can be used for personal development. What? That's craziness, but it sounds like fascinating. So make sure you tune in. Same time, same place, same station. Good night.